Welcome to the Action Takers podcast. I'm your co-host Nate. We got JC here with us as always. JC, how you doing?
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.
Dude, I'm doing absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's one of those things that I look at my life and I'm very, very blessed. I'm blessed to be able to mess with people in a certain way. I'm blessed in the sense of me being able to do this podcast. Blessed in the sense I get to spend a lot of time with my family. So, dude, I'm feeling very grateful right now. How about you, buddy?
That's awesome. I'm doing great. Sounds like you've been doing a lot of morning grateful meditations or something. I don't know.
Oh, dude, no.
But yeah, no.
I got on that kick of getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but I got on the kick at like a week and a half before I flew to California. And if everyone knows that from California to Georgia, it's a 3 hour fucking time difference. Well, so if I get up at 4, that means in California, that means it's like fucking, what is that? At 1 o'clock. Anyway, it was all screwed up. I'm finally getting back to the East Coast time. So, not a great move on my part to start getting up at 4 right before I go to the West Coast, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, you came out here, which is got to enjoy our nice weather. It's been great the last few days. How was the tournament?
Oh, so everyone that isn't in tune with the Aloha Press. It's this golf media company we started probably 4 or 5 years ago, and we host a golf tournament every year, and it's typically in California or Nevada. And sure enough, it was in Monterey, California this year. It was from a tournament standpoint, like as a business standpoint and a tournament standpoint, you would probably chalk it up as a failure. This was probably the biggest like business lesson that I've ever learned, and it cost me a bunch of money, but I'm glad I learned it because it was such a great event. It was so unique. It was small. It was intimate. It had a lot of moving parts for as little as it was. And I learned a lot about marketing, and I learned a lot about people, and I confirmed some relationships. There's some relationships that I thought I had, like, that I understood, and now I understand it as it's not as strong, which is great for me because it fucking brings on a bunch of clarity. Now, getting to my actual golf game, not fucking good, dude. Oh my God. Just mentally broken from golf. A couple weeks ago, I freaking messed up my finger really bad, and I all of a sudden, like day one, I started getting these fucking shooting pains in my pinky, which, whatever. So I changed my grip thinking that would fix it, but it absolutely just threw me off to a whole nother point. It was to a point where like all I could do was chip and putt, and it was pretty incredible. But at the end of the day, we had some amazing people there. It was a cool event, and in Monterey, fuck, you can't complain.
Yeah, so you're telling me you're like using irons for for all
Oh,
18 holes, or not even?
yeah, dude. I was like, every time I'd pull the driver out, it was either like I was gonna top it dead left into the trees and then have to hit an iron, or just hit an iron now and be somewhere in play. And
Yeah.
it was probably one of the most frustrating things I've ever done in my life, because I spent probably the last 3 months preparing for it. And there are no excuses, but if this was our Super Bowl, I lost the fucking Super Bowl. Or I got I'm the Cleveland Browns against the San Francisco 49ers, just getting the shit kicked out of me. That's just the way it went. But that's life. That is, sometimes you learn from your failures more than you do your wins. So I'm grateful for that.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, right? Any of these missteps or failures, and that's where you're going to learn the most and prepare for next year. And yeah, I mean, hopefully it just will lead to a better tournament, better everything for the next one. Um,
Well, so Nate and I, before we jumped on this podcast, we were like, hey, what are we going to talk about? And Nate had some really good suggestions, and I didn't like. It's funny because you brought up the idea of this why concept, okay? Knowing your why, and I'll let you get into it, but this tournament made me question my why more than ever. And it really clarified some things, and it made some of the distractions that I would allow myself to have to I just simply eliminated them. And so anyways, we'll get into that. But Nate, what's the topic this episode here on the Action Takers podcast?
Yeah, so it's just based off. So I'm reading the book by Simon Sinek, Start with Why. Uh, there's a video about that he did like 12 years ago, and he talks about what businesses do, how they do it, and why. Right? You got three circles. Why is in the center. Then you got how, and then what is on the outside. And reading the book, and it just really opens up with everything that we do, right? Whether it's fitness, whether it's our jobs, whether family, relationships, everything has that, and it helps to know why you're doing it, and if you believe in it and you're going to do it, and when we get up in the morning and do our job or go to our business or whatever we're doing, why are we doing that? And I thought it was a really good topic. And even this podcast, right? Why are we doing this podcast that we do, that we've slowly but surely been getting more viewers and subscribers and listeners. But why are we doing these things? So I thought it would be a great topic to talk about. And like I said, whether it's your tournament, and no matter what it is in life, it's a good thing to evaluate. Are we starting with why, or are we starting with what?
Hate to say it, Nate, dude, I've been starting with what for so many fucking years, and when you brought up this topic, it got me thinking, dude. It got me really thinking and trying to hone in on what the fuck am I doing in life. My why is so. It's like, what? Well, why do you want to do this? And you're like, well, it would be one day. It would be cool if we had this or we did that, or maybe someone would buy our company, or maybe we'd make hundreds of millions of dollars doing what we love doing. But all I'm talking about is the fucking what, like what the thing is, and what is great about it. What is going to be so fucking special with it? And you realize that if you don't start with the why, you're just going to go in the direction like everyone else does. The fucking cows, the fucking sheep, the fucking cats of these worlds, and I'm not trying to insult all races of animals, but you got me thinking, and it almost pissed me off. Like, I was like, fuck, like, why is this not at like the center of every, like, why is there not a fucking like class or school subject in just this mindset, this model? Because so Nate sends me this video, which we'll include in the show notes, and he starts talking about the greatest companies, the greatest people, the greatest leaders in the world, and they all have this same framework. And it's like, why are we doing any of this? And it's essentially to chase your dreams, right? Like, so to answer your question with why do we do this podcast? For me, it's the greatest excuse to have a conversation on camera, on recorded. It keeps you accountable. It allows me to be accountable with someone else besides myself, because I know I'm selfish in the sense of, I would, like, if we're not scheduling this podcast today, I would be sitting on my fucking couch and not doing shit. I would not be being productive. I would be calling it family time, and it would be absolutely just fucking binge watching some shit. So that's my why. Nate, what's your why?
As cliche as it is, I do enjoy helping people, right? So hopefully something I say will maybe help someone, which is, and obviously all the things you said too, is it helps with accountability. It's something fun, something that I enjoy doing. So, and I think for us too, we're growing this slowly, and we have to have a big why, or most people, I'd say, because the average podcast only lasts less than 10 episodes, or 10 shows, or whatever, how you want to call it. And we're here and probably, I think, 30 shows deep now, and still doing it. And you have to have that big why, or that's why I think a lot of people quit, because they don't have a big enough why, or why they're doing their podcast. So mine is the hope that it does help people and it grows, and it does hold accountability. It's we are able to talk about our wins, our losses, our what we've learned, and just sharing that with any of our listeners or viewers or subscribers, and hopefully grow it to a big show one day.
So someone proposed this to me this last weekend. I tried giving up alcohol and that fucking didn't work. God, never fails. Someone hands you a glass of 65-year-old scotch and you're like, or not 65-year-old scotch, sorry, 18-year-old scotch for $65. Yeah, you sometimes, I'm like, what am I gonna let this go to waste? Like, this is history. I'm drinking history. Like, fuck. 18 years ago, I was like 17, like someone 18 years ago was like, we're gonna make some fucking scotch. And they did it. And then all of a sudden, 18 years later, they're selling the shit, which is, it got me thinking. It was like, it's one of those things in business where it's like, how fast do you want to grow? Or how slow do you want to enjoy this process? Because it's just the process. We enjoy the process. Once you get to the end, the finish line, it's very empty. I can promise you that. If you've ever sold anything, sold a business, sold a house, sold something, you've closed a chapter on something, it's pretty fucking empty. When you leave the door, your key doesn't work anymore. They turn your fucking email off and they say thank you. And that's it. And then from now on, you're either a guest or someone that's in the front fucking lobby. And it got me thinking, drinking this fucking $65 scotch, what is my why in life? And I started asking the group of people that I was with, because we had all had a few cocktails. And when you've had a few cocktails, you want to solve the world's problems. And I oftentimes bring up shit that I just fucking am not very comfortable with bringing up when I'm not, had that liquid courage in me. And I propose this question. I go, should I give up on the Aloha Press? And this guy turns to me and goes, dude, why? Like, why would you give up on it? He goes, you're my inspiration to keep going. Like, I'm 2 years behind you. And like, if you stop, then why do I have any reason to keep going? Like, you're the most optimistic, scary motherfucker that I know, who has these giant fucking goals, these giant fucking dreams, and these massive set of balls, and you're telling me you're just going to cut them off. What the fuck are you doing? And it was a fucking gut punch and a reality check. And it's something that, it's crazy how this world works, that you bring up this topic and it absolutely, I'm drinking a Diet Coke instead of, $65 scotch, which, don't get me wrong, the Diet Coke tastes much better because it's going to feel better tomorrow morning. But anyways, yeah, that's my little rant on that topic.
Well, and just to even go, that's the biggest, I think, piece of advice that a lot of successful people always give is just don't quit, right? Outlast everyone. And I mean, even with this, right, we started this in the beginning of the year, and look where we are. We're already in September, about to be October, and we're still going strong, and we're going to hit our 1 year of doing this before we know it. And it'll just keep building. And I mean, there's a lot of things, right? I mean, whether it's relationships, whether it's at a job, whether it's, right, sometimes you get to a point and you're like, oh, I'm not going anywhere with this, I'm just cut it off or end it or whatever it is. And it's like, man, what if I would have just worked at something for another month or two? Where would I have been, right? And so, I mean, that has to be some big motivation for you, because to really think about, I mean, you've been doing that for what, it's been at least 4 years,
Yeah,
if not longer.
2018, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, right, and someone to say, man, I'm just starting, I'm only 2 years into it, right? And it's and even us, right? I mean, there could be someone starting a podcast today that's like, man, those guys are 30 episodes in and they're just getting started. And it is definitely a big thing, is having that why, and not giving up and keep going. And even if you feel silly or feel like, what am I doing? It's not going anywhere, or where do I need to reevaluate things? I think it is something that a lot of people do too short, is we switch it up, we change things, we go in a different direction, whatever it might be. So I think that's pretty awesome that you got that kind of motivation from someone else to really reevaluate your why for that.
Well, dude, it just got me thinking because like it was so like my why was very foggy. It was not crystal clear like it was 4 years ago. And I think oftentimes we get influenced by the people that are around us and we start taking consideration what we think they want, what we think might work best, or what we think instead of actually knowing like I know I can produce a great fucking golf tournament in the best fucking conditions in the best fucking course, and I can host an event where people will absolutely fucking fall out of their fucking golf carts showing up to this thing because they're just gonna be like, holy shit. I know I can do that, and I've done that for the last 3 years. But this year, for whatever reason, and I look deep down and I go, my why was not fucking strong enough. I did not put in the time and the effort and the energy to pump out and promote and market and fucking get on the phone and bust people's ass, send them fucking 100 emails, get on the podcast and yell at people and make fun of them for not showing up and do the things that we did the last 2 years. And you wonder why I fucking don't have the same result. It's because you don't put in the same effort. Your why is not fucking clear. And now it's more clear than ever. Because like nothing will give you a better why if you look around and go, oh, that sucks. Like I just lost $5,000. Like that was shitty. You know, there was a shitty lesson to learn, but at the same time, I'm so fucking happy it happened. Nate, do you want to anything else on this particular topic? I've got a couple of things that happened to me in California that I wanted to bring up and I wanted your opinion on.
No, I mean, and for anyone listening, and I believe it's called the Golden Circle, but look it up because exactly what you just mentioned is exactly, which is good, which is kind of what you're saying. You start with what I'm going to host a golf tournament. How am I going to do it? I'm going to do it at this golf course, and your why, just kind of why you're doing it. You probably lost it, and which is what most businesses do instead of why I'm doing this because I've been doing this forever. I enjoy golf. I enjoy tournaments. I'm going to host it at this place, and what is it? It's for the Aloha Press, right? Like it's so crazy how just switching the order of something, and like I said, just how you were talking about it, like you could totally see that you did the order the wrong way, and why the results were there, and man, it's anyone just no matter what it is. I think if people just write it down and go for whether it's a gym, eating healthier, growing in business or just personal development. I mean, just start with that why. But yeah, let's get on some good California topics.
Oh, dude. So so I've been trying to, so I've got a 3-year-old son, and going and traveling has been pretty remarkable. He's done some things that I had never done by his age. I mean, he's going to be 4 years old in December, and he's been out of the country. He said 30 COVID tests. We've flown across the country probably 10, 12 times, driven him everywhere. We drove him across 3 or 4 states to go do and experience these certain things. And it was kind of sad because a lot of his extended family send him gifts or send him things, materialistic things. And it got me thinking, and I go, what do I want my kid to go in what direction? Like, do I want them to cherish experiences, or do I want them to cherish, materialistic things that really you could fucking throw away tomorrow and it would not change his fucking outlook on life? So I started looking at fucking experiences in Santa Cruz, and we came across the sailboat fucking sail, the sunset sail. And I thought it was going to be this real small, intimate thing, and we had surprised him, and he just was overjoyed with the experience about getting on a sailboat and going and sailing around and seeing the sea lions and calling whales and, and sipping on his water while mom and dad drank some wine. It was just a really cool experience. And then I looked around and I go, this is one of the best businesses I've ever seen in my life. This captain lady, had 48 people on her boat, all paying $60 a pop for less than 2 hours. That literally she used the wind power to fucking move the boat. Like it was just time and wind power. Like there was maybe a tenth of a gallon of fuel that was burned just getting in and out of the dock. But other than that, it was just absolutely controlled by human nature. And I looked at this business and I go, it's a fucking Thursday afternoon. This thing is completely sold out and people are overjoyed. She just made $2,000 in an hour and a half's worth of work and had two deckhands doing pretty much all the work. We were just running around hand in line. So I wanted your opinion on two topics. One, the overall business of just running a sunset cruise fucking sailboat, but also your ideology in regards to experiences versus some materialistic things. I know that I throw a lot at you. Take it however you want.
I mean, first on so experiences in business. I mean, especially there, right? I mean, obviously, there's only certain areas that or certain things that you'll do for these experiences. It's not across the board everywhere. So yeah, Santa Cruz. I'm sure in Hawaii that business is freaking huge. Being on the island, that's one of the things. So experiences where it's at. I mean, people will pay lots of money for experiences. We all do. No matter it could be anything. There's no set thing of like what this experience is, right? We pay money to go experience a sports game, a sporting event, to go on a sailboat at sunset, to go on a train ride, to go on a plane ride. I mean, like all those things are experiences. Now, have they deteriorated of what they used to be, right? I mean, like going on a plane and traveling somewhere used to be a big thing, right? People used to get all dressed up. I can't remember if we talked about this, but we get dressed up, be all nice, to now where that experience is just kind of whatever, right? People will go in their pajamas to get on the flight to go wherever they're going. Certain airports are really nice, certain airports not so much. But right, I mean that in itself is an experience. I mean, the experience industry or business is everywhere. Some do it better than others, and I think it's definitely a good business to be in because people are willing to pay. Obviously, COVID changed the experience business the last 2 years because there's all the restrictions and things kind of went out the window with it. But it's definitely back, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, that it's obviously having an item, just kind of going to that other topic, is something that you can have a lot longer, right? Can I spend $500 on this experience or $60 on the experience for the sailboat, or can I spend $60 and buy pair of jeans that I'm going to have for a few years? I mean, it's debatable. Where do you want to spend the money? How long is it going to last? But I think experiences are definitely the way to go, because it is. I mean, there's a lot of things out there to do, and it's memories, and especially with your kids, your family. I mean, that's how often do you get to do those things, especially now, right? In Georgia, there's I guess you can't go to South Georgia and go to the ocean and do that, but if you're not close to there, it's not an experience you can have. So I think it's a cool thing, and definitely something that, yeah, even with my boys, I think doing the experiences is a way to go, because there are so much things, especially when they're younger, right? As they get older, it's harder to get them and get everyone together to do those things. So I'm an experienced person, definitely.
It's it got me thinking that, like, I think COVID made it so much more powerful, and I think it was a great reminder for everyone that, like, these things that we take for granted all the time, like what went up in fucking the COVID times, the materialistic shit, because people couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when then you could do things, everyone's like, fuck, I need to get out of this house. I need to put on these new jeans that I've been wearing in front of my fucking couch and, binge watching Netflix, eating Oreos. I need to go out there and do some shit. So if you take anything away from this particular business, I think that lady's particular why was very simple. It was to enjoy something that she was passionate about. She loved sailing. She loved sharing that same experience with people who don't always get to live that certain lifestyle. And then you put a price tag on it that's somewhat affordable, and you let the rest of the shit just fucking make the magic happen for you. It absolutely, like, was remarkable. People were losing their mind. Like, one, because we thought we were going to fall off this goddamn boat, because in a sailboat, the thing goes like this, and then it goes like this. And you're just like, holy shit. all of a sudden you're having a great time, and the next time you feel like you're at the fucking carnival hanging on to everything you can to fucking make sure you don't die. So I just thought, like, at least for me, like businesses wise, giving people an experience. And even if you sell like an e-commerce thing, or maybe you're a service style business, I think if you take the perspective of understanding the why and having a strong understanding of the why, but also having a great understanding of the experience that you're giving your customer. If you give your customer a great experience, they're going to feel good about it. They're going to go on their podcast and talk about this fucking sunset cruise in Santa Cruz, right? Everyone's going to hear this and you're like, I think I need to go to Sunset Cruise. It's just, it's that other side of things that I think we oftentimes overlook.
You made a good point, and what you said is that she enjoys doing that, and she's sharing that experience with other people. And I think, especially now, and the way sometimes people get judged is that people don't actually talk about what they enjoy, right? Like, I enjoy fitness. Oh, you enjoy fitness? I enjoy fitness too, right? That's how we like get that connection, or in the business sense too, right? Like, most people are in the business they do because they enjoy it, whether it's a barber, whether it's pressure wash. There's always, even as weird as it sounds, that there's people enjoy that part of it, and then they don't tell people enough, right? What they enjoy, and that's how you kind of get your why, right? So you saying that, which is true, which is what I think a lot of businesses or a lot of people do forget, is just, hey, this is what I enjoy, or this is what I do, or this is what I like. And, you want to share that with people. And then that's how you can, very simply just grow, or find people, right? Find people part of your tribe, and that want to do the same thing. Be like, whoa, I can go on the sailboat and go out in the ocean and see the sunset. I want to experience that. So, it's a big thing of kind of the topic of like, hey, this is what I enjoy. I want to share it with everyone else.
It just, I figured it was a good reminder, and it tied in well with our overall topic. I was sitting there in the airport and I started reading another book. And do you ever get burnt out of a book? Like, do you ever think, like, sometimes I always feel like there's some books out there that just shove all the good information up front, and then it just slowly drags on and it just dies. I started reading this. I got into this book like just heavily, and it was so great. It was just impactful and powerful and motivational. And then all of a sudden it's like the stories just got weaker and weaker and weaker. And you're like, what are we doing? Like, you could like either end the fucking book, or don't make it so long that I'm just not even interested anymore. Have you ever experienced this?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the excitement peaks in the beginning, and then the rest of it is just kind of. Yeah, I mean, there's some recent books. I can't even remember the name of one of them, so that's how you can know how I got bored of it. But yeah, it is. It happens. I mean, usually, very rarely, but yeah, I mean, it's just like anything, right? Whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, a story, you got to have it peak at the right time, and have that punchline and have all that stuff, or it just, yeah, people lose interest.
Well, I lost interest, so I won't name the book. But if you ask me, I will tell you. I've got like a whole list of notes on like the first half of the book, and I was like, this is great. And then there was just no noteworthy things, and I take notes on fucking everything. So, what else we got tonight?
Yeah, well, and just even to go on that, I think there's a sweet spot too on pages, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, there are 300 page, or there are longer books that hold your attention, but my finding, if you're going over 200 plus pages on some of these self-improvement books, it just gets too long, right? I mean, 150 pages is always, to me, a good sweet spot on some of these self-improvement books. But it's that's just my little take on it.
Well, no, I'm with you, because it's one of those things that, like, I look at a book and I'm like, okay, who wrote this? All right, it's someone who has dedicated their life for this fucking topic. And then I think about it, I'm like, the longer fucking books are entertainment books. I hate to say it, but like, you can't keep someone's attention about fucking confidence for fucking, God, I'm going to lose confidence by reading this goddamn thing for 400 pages. Like, it's just absolutely mind numbing. And do me a favor, anyone that's going to write a book, Do not write all the letters in these tiny, teeny, tiny letters and make the book like pocket size. This isn't like, it's not a Bible, okay? You don't need to remind me like of all the bad shit I've done in my life, okay? It's, you make it big, okay? I know that might cost a little bit more, but make the fucking letters big so I don't get, I get this headache, which drives me fucking crazy. Maybe it's because I'm getting old and I need reading glasses. Or just, it just absolutely fucking pisses me off. But I agree with you. Unless your name is J.K. Rowling, okay, if you don't know who that is, go run into a wall and, recognize that 800 pages, fucking please. Grant Cardone, dude, you yelling at me for fucking 8 hours with your 800-page book about 10x? Dude, I got the topic in the first chapter. Okay, I get it. Fucking 10x your goddamn life. It could have been wrapped up in a podcast. So that's my 2 cents. I love Grant Cardone. I love his books. Just sometimes, they can get a little lengthy.
And just to go off the J.K. Rowling thing and books, I mean, remember like every Harry Potter book, the first one was a certain length, and then they kept getting longer and longer. That was like the thing of it. By the fourth or fifth freaking big old dictionary, like,
well, she started running out of napkins. She started writing Harry Potter, the first one, on fucking like napkins at this restaurant she worked at, and then after you have a couple of successful books, they're like fucking, you have $100 million company, and fucking Disney's buying rights and shit. You recognize that maybe we need to hang on to these people's attention a little longer. Maybe she's got a few more fucking Google Docs under her belt. Maybe they bought her a MacBook, and she could write a few more words than she chicken scratched on her notepad. I gotta ask you, have you ever heard of the story about J.K. Rowling in the sense of she's a billionaire now? I'm assuming you knew that, but so she wrote the Harry Potter series. And then took this big ass break. And she decided, she wondered, like, could I do it again? So she changed her name and she wrote a whole different series of books. And she sent it out to like a bunch of publishers. And sure enough, they didn't know who she was. She was acting under a different name. And the publisher, all of them came back and they're like, maybe you should take some writing classes, like, the story's just not there. Like, you need to be able to like articulate things in a different way. And it just cracked me up because then, later, like a year later, she came on and was like, hey, I'm actually this person too. You all made fun of me and thought I was an idiot. And now you're the idiot because you judged one of the best authors ever. And it just, I don't know, that story always kind of fucking hits me pretty good.
I've never heard that story, but I mean, it's, and I'm sure that's how it was before when she first started. Because I thought it was obviously something similar. Like, not everyone was picking up, obviously, the Harry Potter series until
the guy's sleeping under the closet with a stick, and playing with owls and fucking, werewolves. I can only imagine is not very popular, but at least in my generation, it was.
Yeah, I mean, and it's unfortunate, but that's how it goes, right? Like, if you go in and you don't have that name on it, then they're gonna pass on it. But if she sends the same thing with her name on it, it's gonna get taken, published, and promoted like crazy. So it's just the world we live in still, and who's who of certain things.
Well, I think it's a good reminder of just realizing that all you gotta do is get one fucking win. Once you get one win, people are like, oh, he fucking won. Like he did it, or she did it, or they figured it out. And I think that reputation, like, don't ever stop doing what you're doing because other people are judging you in a negatively way and they don't think it's good enough. Because at some point in time, you're going to get a fucking win, and then all of a sudden you might be a billionaire like J.K. Rowling, who puts out a fucking series of books that I've read probably 15 times. Like, I love that shit. I watched the Harry Potter movie yesterday. I was feeling sick, a little down, pop in, season or episode 5 or whatever, year 5, and I got after it.
Yeah, it's obviously doing a new job, and what I'm doing now in selling cars. It's funny, like you say that, because it is like you once you kind of start doing it and you start getting these wins, you realize, hey, you can do it, and it becomes easier, and it just see where it takes you. So it's yeah, it's the same type of thing. You got to celebrate those small wins, not too long, and then but after you do get a couple wins, hey, I can do something, and you just keep improving on it and getting better and better.
So what's your opinion? And we've got like 4 minutes left. What's your opinion about losses? How long do you to grieve a loss?
I not well, I mean, I guess it depends on what type of loss it is, but not very long. I mean, once you have realized it, see what you got to do to improve it and move on from it. I mean, hours, I don't know. Like,
I
I mean, because you can't dwell,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that same day, if something happens today, okay, tomorrow's a new day, and you got to just move forward from it. I mean, you can't. There's no time to dwell, and that's the same thing for a win too, right? You got to have short term memory. I think it is crucial to be level, whether it's wins or losses. You have to just always be on that calm level, because that's the only way to improve every day. Because I know, there's times when super high on wins, super low on losses, and it for both, when you dwell on them for too long, you get thrown off the path. So that's my big thing, and people tell me I'm pretty good at staying level, so that's why I was trying to stay as level as possible, because it's
Yeah.
either way, you can go bad from celebrating and dwelling on wins and losses.
I give it the 24-hour rule. I get this from football a lot. It win or loss, you either celebrate for 24 hours or you just sulk and you review the film and you hash out the problems and the issues, and then after that 24 hours you got to fucking forget it, and you got to work on the shit that you need to get better at, and then go out there and forget it, and then recognize the work that needs to be done. And even if you get a victory, like even a victory, we would analyze shit, for that 24 hours, see what went well, what didn't go well, and then you fucking get after it the next day, because it was over. It was history. You tried not to make history repeat itself, but it was one of those things that you just fucking, you made it happen.
Oh yeah, especially in sports. I mean, football, right? Certain positions, if you're a cornerback, you can let someone get a touchdown on you immediately. You got to forget that, because, or you get a pick, and there's sometimes you have to have a very short memory, and not get too high or low on certain things. Or baseball, you strike out or you hit a home run, like you got another at bat, so you can't dwell on the last at bat. You got a new one coming up. So sports is a good one where you really can't dwell on the wins or the losses, depending on what it is, for too long, because there's something else you got to do relatively soon.
I agree. So if you're taking any fucking knowledge away from this, do me a favor. Leave a like, comment, whatever, subscribe. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, please leave us a review, no matter where that review's at. If we deserve a 5-star review, that would be amazing. If we don't, well, I would love to hear your opinion, because you're going to get a response from me or Nate. I will always respond to those, the good or the bad. So Nate, dude, really appreciate it, man.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.